In August 1982, I was on vacation with my family in the wonderful city of Acapulco, Mexico. We had a hotel reservation. I was involved in an accident shortly after we arrived at the accommodation, which resulted in a near-death experience. I dashed through a sliding glass door, shattering it with my forehead. The next thing I recall is resting on my knees, like if crawling. There was a lag in my memory between the time my body collided with the glass door and the time I was laying on my knees, as I later learned since I thought for many years that I had fainted. As I felt millions of pieces of glass fall down my back, I was reminded of a movie I had recently seen about a man who was thrown through a glass window, killing him. I immediately worried for my life and felt I should get up and leave. The upper half of the glass door swung down, reaching my neck like a guillotine, resulting in a deadly wound that involved the aorta, as I later learned. Following that, I noticed that my body was completely covered in blood, like a river, and that blood was rushing out of my aorta. I rose from my knees and shrieked an impatient snort, "Papa," as I began to run in terror and fear. It was a horrifying scene. My father reached for me, stopping me from fleeing, and grabbed my sister's dirty blouse, which was lying on top of a dresser near the bed. He used it to wrap a tourniquet around the cut in my neck and stop the bleeding. He sat me in the hospital bed and wrapped my arms around his waist to halt the bleeding in my right arm, which had 2 severe wounds sliced into the main veins in my arm joints. He was clutching the tourniquet and gripping me tightly. "We need to go back to Zamora," my father remarked, and I thought I didn't want to ruin our vacation, so I answered, "Why don't you put a band-aid over my neck, and I'll be okay quickly." At the time, it appeared like I couldn't realize the extent of my injuries. After then, I had a seemingly centuries-long experience. I suddenly understood I was about to die, and despite the fact that I was not in any physical pain, I felt a horrible sensation all over my body. I went from sheer dread and tremendous fear for my life to a genuine realization that I would undoubtedly die. Surprisingly, embracing my own mortality gave me a wonderful sense of calm and serenity beyond any I've ever had. It was as if I had moved from the catastrophe to my inner self, a place I found imperturbable, completely serene, and at peace. "Dad, I'm going to die," I said to my father. That was the final thing I said at the time. I lost so much blood in such a short period of time that I died clinically. Following this, I felt quickly outside of my body, yet still in my immediate physical world. I was levitating at the room's roof level. The experience's momentum carried me. Time seemed to stand still, and I remained absolutely calm. My emotional turmoil had evaporated. I couldn't quite describe what was going on to myself, since I was seeing my own body from a distance, as if I were a bystander. I noticed my father clutching me tightly, his eyes wide with dread, and my mother sprinting toward the reception area, crying for a doctor. I noticed my maternal grandmother and sisters entering the room, as well as individuals from other rooms entering to see what was going on. Then my mother returned to the room, accompanied by a doctor named Jesus. I noticed the same terror in the doctor's eyes that I saw in my father's when he saw the wound in my neck. "All hospitals in Acapulco are currently on strike," he said, "so let's start moving soon. Hopefully, we'll be able to bring her back." Then, as he began to prepare for resuscitation and surgery in the hotel room, I noticed an unusual strength and confidence in him. Surprisingly, I realized I had not reached the point of no return, but rather of change. I witnessed scenes from my life flash before my eyes, like a fast-paced movie, but with incredible detail. What happened next is virtually unimaginable, as I have no words to describe it. I was quickly drawn into a dark area shortly after. Before my eyes was a spherical, long, dark tunnel revolving around me, full of what appeared to be dark clouds. I saw a faraway, brilliant white light moving toward me at the far end of the tunnel, or perhaps it was pulling me toward the heart of it. I'm not sure. This powerful and dazzling light was blindingly bright, but I was not dazzled. I was aware that I no longer had a physical body. It appeared that I was in an other body, completely weightless, with no bodily feelings, temperature, or anything else. It was an entirely different condition of being. My body appeared to be formed of shapeless energy and a dazzling indigo-bluish light. My new body had a more or less irregular circular shape, and it appeared to have arms and hands that would emerge from this circular pattern as needed. Furthermore, the language spoken had no tangible words or sounds, but I was able to grasp what was being said. My thought process was likewise different, clearer, and faster than in physical reality. My mind and attention span were so sharp that I could readily understand what was said to me. It was as if we communicated through a direct transfer of thoughts and ideas, a kind of mind-to-mind language. Then I saw a swarm of light beings waiting for me and saying, "Welcome back." They were overjoyed to see me again, and they greeted me with open arms and all their affection. It was a joy to see them again, even if I'm not sure if I knew them in real life. I also sensed I was about to meet Madonna, and that she would finally take me to a spot where everything would be explained to me. There are no physical bodies in this realm. We are some sort of energy that flows toward a massive, majestic, and heavenly fountain of love. We belong there, in God's wisdom, because it is our home. I was then enveloped in this ineffable, majestic, non-dazzling light that I believed was Christ, and I had a discussion with the Madonna and the divinity without using any earthly language, as I recounted above. The Madonna was interceding for me in a meaningless dialogue that changed my life forever. I could feel their presence and felt one with them. I had an extraordinary silence of inner serenity and oneness with all things. It was the ideal love. Death was no longer something to be afraid of. We went over my life and talked about my life's mission. I was told that I will have 2 sons, one with the name of an ancient monarch, and the other with the name Jesus, since the Lord has an unique assignment for him in life. However, I can't remember the rest of the talk till today. I'm sure there's more to it, but I can't recall what it is. Eventually, I remembered being told that I might discover their guidance through my dreams and visions, and that my words and life experiences would help heal thousands of others, rousing them from their slumber and preparing them for the difficult days ahead. I was told that I was a flesh rope of the divine. I never wanted to leave the light's presence. I realized that, as much as I wanted to stay in my new home, I needed to be back in my physical body to complete my appointed task. I realized I needed to make a choice. I recall thinking to myself, "Please, I need to return right away. What about those who are expecting me? What about those 2 youngsters?" I heard Madonna exclaim, "Go, my child, go." As soon as I saw her hands let me out of the light, I was yanked away from the blinding light and the dark tunnel, as if I had been sucked down through a funnel or a bottle. I returned to my corporeal form with a jerk as I felt excruciating pain in my wounds. The resuscitation attempt caused agony in my chest. As I struggled to open my eyes, I noticed the doctor was attempting to resurrect me. I fought to fill my suffocated lungs. I was squeezing so much breath into my lungs. The doctor then proceeded to repair my wounds. I was gripped by a condition of total and profound concentration, and I was experiencing my body again.